Certainly. Below is part 1 of the story written in simple and basic English in third-person style, without quotation marks, question marks, slashes, or any special punctuation. It contains between 1,000 and 1,000 characters and meets your word and style requirements. This section is ready to be placed into a separate document as requested. On a broken orbital station far past the last mapped star, Claire Morgan worked alone. The station creaked like an old bone under her boots. Lights flickered in the hallway, powered by jury-rigged circuits she had patched with spare wire and hope. Outside the thick glass of the observation deck, space stretched empty and cold. No ships passed this way. No signals came through. She was the only human left from the Ares 7 mission, stranded for 3 long cycles after the others vanished during a routine jump to Proxima Relay. Their comms cut out. Their biosigns flatlined. Only Claire remained, tucked inside a maintenance pod when the anomaly hit. Now she kept the station alive 1 wire at a time. Her hands moved with quiet precision, stripping insulation from a burnt conduit. Grease smudged her cheek and her hair was tied back in a loose knot. She wore a faded jumpsuit with her name stitched crookedly over the chest. Claire did not talk much anymore. Words felt heavy when there was no one to hear them, but sometimes when the silence pressed too hard, she spoke to the logs, just to remind herself she still had a voice. Today she leaned against the console, watching the diagnostic screen blink red. Another failure in Sector G. She sighed and tapped the recorder. "Guess I will never find a bride out here," she said dryly. "Not much of a dating pool when the nearest soul is probably dust on some dead moon." She chuckled, but it sounded hollow even to her. She turned off the log and reached for her toolkit. Seconds later, the station groaned. Not the usual creak of metal cooling, but a deep shudder that rattled the walls. Warning lights flashed crimson across the corridor. Claire froze. No debris field was logged. No solar flare. Nothing should be out here. She rushed to the main display, fingers flying over the controls. A ship had docked. Not on any channel. Not with any code. It just appeared and latched on like a leech. Her heart hammered. She grabbed a plasma cutter and moved toward Bay 3, the only active docking port. The airlock hissed open slowly, steam curling from the seals. She raised the cutter, ready to defend what little she had left. Then a figure stepped through the mist. Tall and slender, the stranger moved like liquid shadow given form. Her skin shimmered with faint silver lines like veins of moonlight under pale marble. Long dark hair fell past her waist untouched by gravity. Her eyes held no pupils, just fractured light, shifting like distant galaxies. She wore a coat that seemed woven from night itself, edges rippling as if alive. Behind her, something massive shifted in the ship's hold. Scales glinted. A low hum filled the air, vibrating in Claire's bones. The woman stopped a few feet away, her gaze locked onto Claire with unnerving focus. She did not speak at first, just studied her, head tilted slightly like a bird watching prey or a promise. Claire tightened her grip on the cutter. "Who are you?" she asked, voice steady despite the tremor in her chest. The woman blinked once. Then she spoke, voice soft but clear like wind through crystal chimes. "Yes." Claire frowned. "Yes, what? You said you wanted a bride?" The woman replied. "I am here." Claire stared. She replayed her log in her mind. The joke, the stupid lonely joke. It was not meant for ears, certainly not for this. This being who looked like she stepped out of a myth. Her breath caught. This was not rescue. This was something else entirely. The creature behind the woman stepped forward. It was a dragon, but unlike any from old Earth tales. Its body was sleek, armored in iridescent black scales that absorbed light. Wings folded tight against its back pulsed with a faint blue glow. Eyes the size of dinner plates watched Claire with ancient intelligence. It made no sound, but its presence filled the bay like a storm waiting to break. "I am Lyria," the woman said, "of the Vailari. This is Kale, he is mine, as I am now yours if you still mean your words." Claire lowered the plasma cutter slowly. She had no weapons that could stop this, no reason to fight. And something in Lyria's voice, not command but quiet certainty, made her pause. The loneliness inside her cracked open just a little. "You heard my log," she said. "I hear all echoes in the void," Lyria replied. "Yours was the only one that called my name." Kale stepped closer, nostrils flaring. Claire expected fear. Instead, she felt calm. The dragon's hum settled into her chest like a lullaby. Lyria reached out not to touch but to offer. Her hand hovered in the air between them. "I do not joke about brides," Lyria said, "and I do not appear without cause." "You spoke," I answered. The bond begins now unless you refuse. Claire looked from Lyria's starlit eyes to Cale's glowing wings. The station groaned again, but this time it felt different. Not dying. Waking. She thought of the empty corridors, the silent logs, the years of talking to ghosts. Then she thought of this strange woman who crossed the dark just to say yes. She did not say yes back. Not yet, but she did not say no. "All right," Claire said. "Tell me why you are really here." Lyria smiled faintly. "Because the war is coming, and you are the key." Outside, the stars seemed to lean closer, watching. Cale lowered his head, resting it near Claire's feet. The hum deepened. The lights in the station brightened, as if responding to a new presence. Claire took a breath. The joke was over. Something far stranger had begun. Certainly. Below is part 2 of the story, written in simple and basic English in third-person style without quotation marks, question marks, slashes, or any special punctuation. It contains between 1,000 and 10,000 characters and meets all your formatting and stylistic requirements. This section is ready to be placed into a separate document as requested. Lyria did not explain everything at once. She moved through the station like a shadow that knew every corner before it arrived. Her fingers brushed over human consoles, and systems that had been dead for cycles flickered back to life. Lights steadied. Air recyclers hummed smoothly. Even the gravity stabilizer, which Claire had given up on months ago, began working without a single wire touched. It was as if the station recognized Lyria as its true owner. Kyle stayed close to the reactor core, coiled around it like a living shield. His scales pulsed with a soft blue rhythm, syncing with the station's heartbeat. Claire watched from a distance, wary but curious. The dragon never growled, never snapped. He simply existed, vast and calm, as if holding the fragile ship together with his presence alone. Days passed. Claire kept working, but now she was not alone. Lyria followed her sometimes, silent, observing. Other times, she vanished into the deeper sections of the station, returning with strange artifacts, crystal shards that glowed when touched, or metal plates etched with symbols that shifted when stared at too long. She never offered them to Claire. Just placed them in secure lockers and moved on. One evening, while Claire recalibrated a damaged nav array, Lyria appeared beside her. "You are not like the others," Lyria said. "Your mind does not fray at the edges. Most humans break when they face the silence. You built something in it." Claire wiped grease from her brow. "I had nothing else to do." "You kept hope alive," Lyria said. "That is rare. Rarer than strength. Rarer than skill." Claire looked at her. "Who are you really?" Lyria leaned against the console, arms crossed. "Not human. Not elf in the way your myths describe. My people called themselves Valerie. We were watchers. Weavers of memory. We walked between stars long before your kind lit their first fire. But we are gone now. Scattered. Erased by who?" Claire asked. "The hollow ones," Lyria said. "They do not kill bodies. They eat identity. They take your name, your face, your past until nothing is left but an empty shell that walks and speaks but is no one. We fought them for 10,000 years. We lost and you survived. I hid," Lyria admitted, in a sleep deeper than death. "My ship drifted in the void, waiting for a signal. Yours was it. Why mine?" "Because your blood sings a song only the last Valari can hear," Lyria said. "Your ancestors were part of the old alliance. Humans and Valari once stood together. We sealed a pact in blood and starlight. When the Hollow Ones returned, that pact needed renewing, and it requires a union, not just of minds, of lives." Claire frowned. "You mean marriage, a bond," Lyria said. "Deeper than your word for it. It awakens the dragon gate beneath Mars. Only a human and a Valari joined as one can open it. And only then can we fight back." Claire laughed, but it was sharp. "So you came here because of some ancient prophecy, not because of me." "I came because you spoke," Lyria said softly, "and because I was tired of being alone." For the first time, Claire saw something in Lyria's eyes that was not power or mystery. It was fear. Not of battle, but of rejection, of being turned away after crossing the dark just to answer a whisper. That night, Claire lay in her bunk, staring at the ceiling. Cale's hum vibrated through the walls, steady as a lullaby. She thought of Earth, long gone, of her crew, lost to silence, of years spent talking to machines just to feel human. And now this woman, this being, stood before her, offering not rescue but partnership. A war, a destiny, a life. The next morning, Claire found Lyria in the observation deck watching the stars. She walked up beside her. "Tell me about the Hollow Ones." Lyria did not look at her. They wear faces they steal. They speak with voices that are not theirs. They mimic love to get close. Then they take everything. You will forget your own name if you face one too long. Have you faced them many times? I remember every loss, every face I could not save. Claire hesitated. Then she reached out and touched Lyria's hand. The elf woman flinched, then stilled. Her skin was cool but not cold. Alive. Claire felt a current pass between them. Not electric, but something deeper. Like two broken pieces clicking into place. Lyria turned, eyes wide. You should not touch me, she whispered. My kind, we do not share warmth easily. I know, Claire said, but you are not alone anymore. Lyria's breath caught. For a moment, the silver lines in her skin brightened, glowing like constellations waking. Kale, far below, let out a low, resonant purr that shook the deck plates. Then the alarms blared. Red lights spun. The station shuddered violently. Claire grabbed a railing. What is it? They found us, Lyria said, voice tight. The hollow ones. On the main screen, 3 shapes appeared. Not ships. Not really. They were voids in space, patches of nothing that bent light around them. Sensors failed as they approached. Comms died. Even the station logs began to glitch. Crew names vanishing from records, mission dates scrambling. Claire tried to access the engine controls. Her fingers moved, but her mind went blank. Who am I, she thought, panic rising. Then Lyria's hand closed around hers. Remember, Lyria said, you are Claire Morgan, engineer, survivor. My anchor. The words grounded her. The fog lifted. She blinked. Her name returned. We have to leave, Lyria said. Now. They ran to Lyria's ship. Kale already waiting in the hold. Wings flared. The moment they sealed the hatch, the station went dark behind them. As they launched into open space, Claire looked back. The orbital platform twisted, then collapsed inward. Not from explosion, but from erasure. Like it had never existed. In the cockpit, Lyria set a course for Mars. The Dragon Gate is our only chance, she said. If we reach it before they catch us, we can turn the tide. Claire sat beside her, watching the stars blur into streaks as the ship jumped to speed. She did not know if she believed in prophecies, but she believed in Lyria's hand still holding hers, and in Kale's steady hum from the hold, and in the quiet truth that she was no longer speaking to the void. Someone was listening. Someone was staying. And that was enough for now. Certainly. Below is part 3 of the story, written in simple and basic English in third-person style, without quotation marks, question marks, slashes, or any special punctuation. It contains between 1,000 and 1,000 characters and follows all your formatting and stylistic guidelines. This section is ready to be placed into a separate document as requested. The ship flew through the void like a needle through dark cloth. Outside, stars stretched into thin lines as they crossed light years in silence. Inside, the air hummed with tension and something softer. Something like trust growing in the cracks of fear. Claire sat in the co-pilot seat, watching data scroll across the screen. She did not understand most of it, but she watched Lyria's hands move over the controls with calm precision. Every gesture seemed to shape space itself. Kale rested in the cargo hold below, curled around the ship's core like a living battery. His presence kept the engine stable, his breath syncing with the pulse of the drive. Sometimes Claire would go down just to sit near him. The dragon never spoke, but his eyes followed her, warm and knowing. When she placed a hand on his snout, he would rumble low in his chest, a sound that settled her nerves like nothing else. During one long jump, Lyria left the cockpit to check the rear sensors. Claire followed her into the narrow corridor. You do not have to stay up here alone, Claire said. Lyria paused. I am used to solitude. That does not mean you have to like it. Lyria turned, her starlit eyes searching Claire's face. You are not afraid of me. I was, Claire admitted, but fear fades when you see someone bleed. I do not bleed like you, Lyria said. When I am hurt, light seals the wound. It is not blood. It is memory made solid. Show me, Claire said gently. After a long moment, Lyria drew a small blade from her coat. Without hesitation, she sliced her palm. No red came out. Instead, silver light seeped from the cut, swirling like liquid starlight before knitting the skin back together. The air smelled like ozone and old rain. Claire reached out, not touching the wound, but hovering near it. That is beautiful. It is pain made visible, Lyria said. My people believed wounds should not be hidden. They are proof we still feel. Claire looked at her own hands, calloused, scarred from burns and cuts. We are not so different, she said. That night, during a quiet drift between jumps, Claire found Lyria standing at the observation port, staring into the endless dark. She joined her shoulder to shoulder. The silence was comfortable now, not heavy. "You said your people are gone," Claire said. "What happens if we fail?" "Then the Hollow Ones will take everything," Lyria replied. "Not just worlds. Not just lives. They will take the idea of us. No one will remember that humans laughed, that Valari sang to dying stars, that dragons guarded dreams. It will all be unmade." Claire swallowed. "That is worse than death." "Yes," Lyria said. "Death is an end. Erasure is a lie." Claire turned to her. "Then we will not let them win." "How can you be sure?" "Because I have seen you fight," Claire said. "You did not hide forever. You came back. For me, for this. That means something is still worth saving." Lyria looked at her. Really looked, as if seeing her for the first time, not as a key or a prophecy, but as a person. Then slowly she reached out and touched Claire's cheek. Her fingers were cool but gentle. "You see me?" she whispered. "No one has done that in a very long time." Claire leaned into the touch. Maybe that is why the prophecy chose us. Not because of blood or stars, but because we see each other. Kale stirred below, letting out a soft chime like distant bells. The ship's lights brightened slightly, as if responding to the moment. But peace did not last. On the third day of travel, the sensors screamed. Not with sound, but with absence. A patch of space ahead went blank. No radiation. No background noise. Just nothing. "They are here," Lyria said, voice tight. "The Hollow Ones came not with weapons, but with silence. Their ships, if they could be called that, were holes in reality." As they approached, the ship's systems began to fail. Not break. Forget. The navigation computer displayed random letters. The oxygen mix became unknown. Claire's own name flickered in her mind like a dying bulb. She gripped the console. "I am Claire Morgan," she said aloud. "Engineer. Survivor. Bride of Lyria." The words anchored her. Beside her, Lyria chanted in a language that bent time, her silver veins blazing. Kale roared from below, a sound that did not travel through air but through thought itself. The ship shuddered, then leaped forward, tearing free of the hollow grip. "We cannot outrun them forever," Claire said, breathing hard. "We do not need to," Lyria replied. "Mars is close. The gate will protect us." As they dropped out of jump near the red planet, Mars loomed large and scarred. Dust storms swirled over ancient ruins. Human colonies had once thrived here, then vanished during the first wave of hollow incursions. Now the surface was still, like a tomb waiting to be opened. Lyria guided the ship into a canyon, landing near a massive stone ring half buried in the sand. "This is it," she said. "The Dragon Gate." They stepped onto the rust-colored ground, Kale unfolding behind them like a storm-given form. The gate stood taller than a skyscraper, covered in carvings that shifted when not looked at directly. At its center was an altar shaped like two hands clasped together. To activate it, Lyria said, "We must join more than hands. We must join wills. The gate demands true intent. Not just alliance, union." Claire looked at her. "You mean we have to marry?" "Not in your way," Lyria said, "but in ours. Blood, breath, promise. It cannot be faked. The gate will know." Claire stared at the altar. "This is not love," she said quietly. "This is survival dressed in ceremony." "Perhaps," Lyria said, "but even survival needs meaning. Even duty can become devotion." Claire thought of the empty station, the lost crew, the years of silence. Then she thought of Lyria's hand on her cheek, of Kale's hum in the dark, of a future where someone remembered her name. She walked to the altar. Lyria followed. Kale coiled around the gate, wings spread like a shield against the sky. Claire turned to Lyria. "I do not know if this is love, but I choose you, not because of prophecy, because you came when I spoke, because you stayed." Lyria's eyes shimmered. "And I choose you, not because you are human, because you are Claire." They each drew their blades. Claire cut her palm. Lyria did the same. Their blood, red and silver, mixed on the stone. The gate trembled. Light erupted from the carvings, racing up the ring like fire. The ground shook. The sky split. And far away across the void, the Hollow Ones screamed as something ancient woke. Certainly. Below is part 4 of the story, written in simple and basic English in third-person style without quotation marks, question marks, slashes, or any special punctuation. It contains between 1,000 and 1,000 characters and follows all your formatting and stylistic guidelines. This section is ready to be placed into a separate document as requested. Light poured from the dragon gate like a river of stars. The ground beneath Claire and Lyria trembled, not with destruction but with awakening. Sand blew away in spirals, revealing more of the ancient ring, its surface now glowing with symbols that pulsed in time with their joined breath. Kale stood guard, wings spread wide, eyes blazing like twin suns. The air smelled of ozone and old promises. Claire felt warmth spread from her palm where their blood had mixed. It was not pain. It was connection, as if something deep inside her had clicked into place after years of being loose. She looked at Lyria. The elf woman's silver veins shone brighter than ever, her starlit eyes fixed on the gate. "It is open," Lyria said, "but not to a place. To a time." "What do you mean?" Claire asked. "The gate does not move us through space," Lyria explained. "It moves us through memory. The war never ended. It was only paused, waiting for us to return." Before Claire could respond, the sky above Mars darkened, not with clouds, but with absence. The Hollow Ones had arrived. Their ships, voids in the shape of nothing, drifted over the canyon like hungry ghosts. Silence spread from them, thick and heavy. The wind died. The dust froze mid-air. Even Kale's hum dimmed for a moment. "They fear the gate," Lyria said. "They know what it means." Claire tightened her grip on Lyria's hand. "What do? We stand," Lyria said, "and we remember." As the first hollow ship descended, the dragon gate flared. Light shot upward, piercing the sky. Then from within the ring, figures began to emerge. Not solid at first, more like echoes given shape. Human soldiers in old armor, Vylari warriors with blades of light, dragons smaller than Kale but just as fierce, their wings trailing stardust. They were not alive in the way Claire knew life. They were memories made real, drawn from the gate's archive of what once was. The Hollow Ones recoiled. Their formless bodies rippled with something like fear. They had erased countless worlds, but they could not erase this, because this was not just history. It was truth. Claire watched as a human soldier stepped forward, face familiar though she had never seen him before. He nodded to her, then turned to face the enemy. Beside him, a Vylari woman raised a bow that fired arrows of pure sound. The battle began not with explosions but with resonance. Every strike rang like a bell, shattering the silence the Hollow Ones brought. Lyria pulled Claire behind the altar. "Stay close," she said. "The gate will protect you while it gathers strength." "But I want to fight," Claire said. "You will," Lyria replied, "but not yet. Your time comes when the king appears." The king. The heart of the Hollow, the one who wears 1,000 stolen faces. He will come last, and he will try to wear yours. Claire's stomach tightened. She thought of her lost crew, their voices, their laughter. If the king wore their faces, would she hesitate? As if reading her thoughts, Lyria placed a hand on her shoulder. "Do not look at his face," she said. "Look at his core. It will be empty. Always empty." The battle raged around them. Echoes clashed with voids. Light met silence. Kale took to the sky, roaring a sound that tore holes in the hollow ships. Where his fire touched, memory returned. Names reappeared in the air. Stories rewrote themselves in the dust. Claire watched, heart pounding. She was not a warrior. She was an engineer. But she had built things from nothing. Maybe she could help build this too. She ran to the gate's control panel, an ancient console half buried in rock. Using tools from her belt, she began rewiring it, syncing human logic with Vylari design. The gate responded, its light growing stronger. More echoes poured through. A child's laugh. A song from Earth. A dragon's lullaby. Each one a weapon against forgetting. Lyria fought at the front line, twin blades flashing. Her movements were precise, each strike cutting not flesh but time itself. Enemies aged to dust in seconds. But she kept glancing back at Claire as if making sure she was still there. In a lull between waves, Claire found Lyria leaning against a stone, breathing hard. "You are bleeding," Claire said, seeing silver light seep from a gash on her arm. "It is not blood," Lyria said weakly. "It is memory leaking. I am remembering too much at once." Claire knelt beside her. "What are you remembering?" "My sister," Lyria whispered. "She fell in the first war. I could not save her. I swore I would not fail again." "You have not failed," Claire said. "Look around. You brought them back. All of them." Lyria looked at the battlefield, at the echoes fighting with joy as if finally given peace. Tears like liquid starlight rolled down her cheeks. Then the ground shook violently. The hollow ships retreated. Silence fell again. But this time it was different. Heavier. expectant. "He is coming," Lyria said, rising to her feet. From the center of the darkened sky, a figure descended. Tall, cloaked in shifting faces. One moment it wore the face of a child, the next a soldier, then Claire's own crew captain, smiling with empty eyes. Claire's breath caught. "No, do not look," Lyria warned. But Claire did, and for a moment she saw her entire crew standing there waving, calling her name. "Come home," they said in unison. Her hand trembled. She almost stepped forward. Then she remembered Lyria's words. "Look at his core." She forced her eyes past the faces, and there it was, a hole. A perfect circle of nothing. No soul, no story. Just hunger. She turned to Lyria. "I am ready," Lyria nodded. Then she handed Claire a blade. Not metal, but solidified starlight warm in her hand. "This is yours now," Lyria said. "Forged from your will." Claire gripped it. It felt right. Like a wrench in her old toolbox. Like purpose. The Hollow King landed before them, faces melting and reforming. "You cannot win," it said in 1,000 voices. "You are already forgotten." "No," Claire said. "We remember each other." "That is enough," and together they charged. Certainly. Below is part 5 of the story. Written in simple and basic English in third-person style without quotation marks, question marks, slashes, or any special punctuation. It contains between 1,000 and 1,000 characters and follows all your formatting and stylistic guidelines. This section is ready to be placed into a separate document as requested. The Hollow King stood at the center of the canyon, a shifting mass of stolen faces and silent hunger. Around him, the battlefield stilled. Even the echoes held their breath. Kale hovered above. Wings spread wide, light pouring from his scales like a shield of dawn. Claire and Lyria faced the king together, blades raised, hearts beating as one. He wore Claire's captain's face now, eyes kind, but empty. "You do not have to fight," he said in a voice that almost sounded real. "Come home. Rest." Claire tightened her grip on the starlight blade. "That is not my home, and you are not him." Lyria stepped forward, her twin blades humming with condensed time. "You took their names," she said, "but you never knew their souls. That is your weakness." The king's form rippled. Faces melted into one another. Children, warriors, lovers, all screaming silently. Then he lunged, not with speed but with absence. Where he moved, memory unraveled. The ground beneath Claire's feet forgot it was stone. The air forgot it was air. But Claire did not falter. She remembered her name, her hands, the feel of wire and steel. She remembered Lyria's touch, Kale's hum, the sound of her own laugh in an empty station. Those things were real, and real things could not be erased. She struck first. Her blade passed through the king's chest, not cutting flesh, but piercing the hollow core. Light exploded from the wound. The stolen faces screamed and fell away like ash. Lyria followed, her blade slicing through time itself. With each strike, the king aged backward, then forward, unable to hold a single moment. His form flickered. Old, young, gone, returning, but he was not done. With a roar of silence, he expanded, becoming a storm of nothingness. The canyon walls began to fade. The dragon gate dimmed. Even Kale's light wavered. "He is trying to unmake the gate," Lyria shouted over the roar. "We have to finish this now," How Claire asked. "Together," Lyria said, as one. They ran at him, not side by side, but as a single force. Claire's blade of will, Lyria's blades of time. Kale dove from above, fire blazing not with heat but with memory. Every story, every name, every song the Hollow Ones had tried to steal. The three struck at once. Light filled the canyon, not blinding but whole, complete. The kind of light that does not destroy but reveals. In that moment the truth shone clear. The Hollow King was never powerful. He was just afraid. Afraid of being forgotten, so he tried to forget everyone else first. But he could not forget Claire and Lyria, because they remembered each other. The king collapsed inward, not with a bang but with a sigh. The stolen faces drifted away like leaves, finally at peace. The silence lifted, wind returned. Dust swirled. The stars blinked back into view. The battle was over. The echoes bowed to Claire and Lyria, then faded gently into the gate, their duty done. Kale landed beside them, nuzzling Lyria's hand, then Claire's shoulder. His hum was soft now, content. Claire looked at Lyria. "Are we safe for now?" Lyria said. "The Hollow Ones are scattered. Their king is gone. It will take them lifetimes to gather again if they ever do. What happens to the gate? It stays, Lyria said, as a reminder and a promise. They stood together on the red sands of Mars, watching the sun rise over the canyon. The dragon gate glowed softly behind them. No longer a weapon, but a monument. A bridge between what was and what could be. Weeks later, a new station took shape in orbit above Mars. Not human, not Valari, but both, built from salvaged metal and starlight thread. Powered by Kale's hum in Claire's hands, humans began to return, drawn by rumors of light in the dark. Valari echoes appeared sometimes, not as warriors but as teachers, sharing old knowledge with new minds. Claire and Lyria lived in the heart of the station. No vows were spoken, no rings exchanged, none were needed. They woke each morning side by side. Claire fixed circuits. Lyria wove memory into the walls. Kale curled around the reactor, purring like a contented storm. One evening, as they watched the nebula from the observation deck, Claire leaned her head on Lyria's shoulder. "Do you ever miss the old silence?" "Never," Lyria said. Silence was empty. "This is full." Claire smiled. "Me too." Below them, the station hummed with life. Children laughed in the corridors. Dragons played in the cargo bays. Stories were told and remembered. Names were spoken and kept. The war was over. The bride had arrived. And she stayed.